Welcome to Angel Institute Season 2. I'm author Erica Penrod with my friend Lucy McConnell. This season, we're going to be talking about all things Cupid as we focus on the Cupid division of Angel Institute. Talking about date nights, relationships, and all of the yummy stuff. So sit down, relax, and join us, and let's get started.
I hate when I screw that up. Hello and welcome to Angels Unscripted. I'm your host, Lucy McConnell, and this is my dear friend and co-host, Erica Penrod, and we're so glad to be here today.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, it's good to be here. I'm so excited to be back. I did my little family vacation over the weekend.
Yes, I'm jealous.
Fun. I know.
What was the temperature the first day?
It was 68-ish.
Okay.
And we didn't, it was hoodie, sweatshirt weather.
It was supposed to be super warm the first day you went.
It was not.
It was not.
It was, well, I was okay in a long sleeve shirt, but.
That's still really good though.
I know, especially here, considering that we're snow on the mountains still. I know, I have to say though, when we flew over the mountains and all the white capped, my kids were all like, yeah, they were glad to be back to the snow. So, because, they all work. They all teach skiing. Mm-hmm. So for them, it's like home is the mountains. Yeah. So awesome. Home is the mountains for us. So anyway, I'm glad to be back. I'm glad we're all healthy. I'm glad we all survived and we had a great time. So
well, me too.
I know. Sometimes you wonder when you're going to go walk 13 miles a day if it's going to be a good time, but it was.
Disneyland's going to be a perilous journey.
Yes. For real. Oh my word.
That might be a new book topic.
That's also a book title, Disneyland, The Perilous Journey. Yes. I'm sure Disney would never let us write it.
I know, but it was a good thought.
We love you, Disney. Yeah. So, okay, all right. So what's our subject today? What are we talking about?
So our subject, since we're still in Cupid season.
I love Cupid.
Which I was just asking, are we more than halfway through Cupid season?
Yeah, we're halfway. This is, I think, episode 7. Yeah. Should be episode 7, so we're more than halfway through.
So we go through the end of March.
Beginning of April.
Yeah.
So, and if you're listening to this 12 years from now in December, then just know that we're at episode 7.
Okay, so what we're talking about with Cupids and love and all that stuff is communication in relationships.
Ooh.
So we are going to talk about the 5 key points for better communication.
I'm going to do that.
In your relationship.
5 key points.
So, I love this though because as it applies to real life, it applies to our characters. Mm-hmm. And so you are thinking about this, but it's interesting, like if you're writing from one point of view, or 2 points of view, or...
Yes. And honestly, we have this thing in romance, they call it man speak.
Yes.
Right, but it's also the idea of getting into a guy's head and telling the romance from his perspective and being authentic in that. There is some authenticity, there's also some fantasy because, we write guys who are the perfect guy for that girl. And so they're going to have all these great, amazing qualities, and finding a man that has every amazing quality that our characters have is very difficult because our characters are pretend and our men are real. And so that's why we wanted to talk about some of these tools to help with things.
I'm just laughing because as you're saying this, the man speak, and we get in the character's head and we say what,
Yeah.
I do that with my own husband. And he's not saying anything, but in my mind, we've had this whole converation, and he is and he'll be like, he doesn't even know that he said that.
That he's had this conversation with you.
So I get in his head all the time.
That's hilarious.
Fact, a joke that we have between us is I will be like, hey, so we broke up for a while, but don't worry, we're back together now. And he's like, oh, good, glad. I didn't even know we broke up.
Didn't even know.
Because I will have this conversation in my head, but I will resolve it.
Yes. Oh, you take it all the way around. Yes, okay, that's good.
Yeah, I was like, oh, no, but I fixed it now.
I think there's so many people out there that have those arguments but don't get to the resolution point. I do. I think that is a big thing. Okay, I'm just going to say that is a big thing women do, is they will completely have an argument with somebody in their head and not resolve it. So there's I'm going to say this is tip 0.
Start with
is resolve all your fake arguments with your person in your head. Just keep it going till it resolves and that you love them again. Yes.
Right. So when you're, because I think at this point in, I've been married for a long time now.
Longish.
Thank you. I was waiting for the word to come. I know what battles to pick, and I know what things are not even a problem or are actually my own problem.
Yeah.
and then I put it on him. So it's just better if I have that in my own head. He
Yeah.
doesn't need to be involved.
He doesn't need to know about
He
that.
doesn't need to know that we broke up for a minute. It's totally fine.
That's awesome.
Anyway, okay, back to
our top 5.
my not made up.
Not 0.
Reason.
Like our number 0, which actually I think is that might be the best tip we give today. Is the
Resolve
0 tip. Resolve your fake arguments
Yes.
before you see that person again.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
That might go into one of these. Okay.
Number 1.
Number 1, active listening. Let's see what this says. Okay, so my phone keeps closing on me.
I know, and it didn't recognize your face.
It's not liking my face today for some reason. Okay, active listening. Pay full attention to your partner. Show nonverbal
communication.
Where am I from? Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay, show nonverbal cues that you're listening and summarize their points to ensure understanding.
Okay.
This one is a big one because I don't know, I'm kind of a talker.
No.
And then I think like I have really good points and I'm ready to rush in and be like this and this and this and this and this. So stopping and listening.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's a big thing. It's a big thing for me. What about you?
So active listening, I feel like I am a champion active listener.
You are?
Like I will sit in a seminar and I'll be nodding and I'll be smiling and I'll be like, yep, and I'll be like, or whatever. Like, and the person that's speaking, I can tell that I'm like a huge distraction because I'm so actively listening. They're reading me very well. When most people sit in seminars and they're like, they do. You just sit and listen.
But when you're actively listening, are you responding in your mind or are you really taking in? Because for me, I'll be listening, but I'm ready to jump in with the next
At
thing.
a seminar, obviously I'm just like absorbing. Okay. I'm absorbing. Okay. So when I'm talking to, let's say my husband, it depends on how charged the moment is. Like if I feel like it's a very important moment and my point is super, like I gotta get my point. Like, I feel like my point is super duper and his point is not so super duper. I want to like jump in faster.
Wait, is this good advice?
I know. This is so bad. Don't do this. Really active listening. But I'm saying like it's more of a challenge when I'm charged in that moment.
I totally agree
It's so much easier to just sit and listen when I don't feel, and I hate to use the word a threat, but any type of a threat in that situation, there's no fight or flight. I'm amazing. I'm a superhero at active listening. But when there's a little bit of a like, not even an argument, just a tiff or whatever, then it's like, I really want you to understand what I'm saying.
Right.
So, yeah.
I think it's a huge point, like to actively listen to your partner, especially when emotions are high. And for me, like, I have to stop and think, but not just with my husband, with family, friends, when they're sharing something with me and I think I have the answer or I want to pipe in with something, like to stop and be like, right now, they don't need to hear that. They just need you to listen.
Yeah.
Like to
I've had that.
listen.
I do that. I'm really good with that with my kids. It's like just shut your and listen.
I do not know.
But I wanted to ask you too, or ask you to share, because it says it didn't say during an argument actively listen. Right. It's always actively listen. So you had taught me about bidding for attention. Tell me more about that.
Oh, you're going to ask me to remember?
Bidding.
So,
or even give your example that you gave me, which was fabulous.
You're asking me to remember it.
It was when you were leaving and Cody was at the desk.
Yes.
And then
So one thing, and phones are a huge part of this. So when someone is bidding for your attention, it's just them walking in and they want your attention or you speak to them.
So it'd be like me saying, "Hi, Erica." Yeah. That's me. That's a bid for attention.
So one thing, when my husband is at home and working, in our office and there's the desk. He's on the laptop, on the phone, something. I can walk in and I can talk to him, but sometimes he doesn't look up or he doesn't acknowledge. And I'm like, I don't know. Like I was bidding for his attention.
Yes.
But I don't know if he heard me. I don't know if he's, if he's responding or whatever. So when you actively like
stop what you're
doing physically and like look at them, when someone bids for your attention, it's huge because you stop and you look at them and you give them your attention. it just means so much.
Yeah,
Like
it
lets
tells them that they're
know
important to
they're
you.
validated.
Yep,
Yes.
yep.
And so that's it just makes me think about phones, because all of us are in our phones. How many times does someone come talk to you and you're looking at something
Yep.
and you don't even, they're bidding for your attention?
I was doing it 5 minutes ago on my computer when we were
Yeah.
talking. I'm like, I'm trying to do this with
Yeah.
audiobooks, and we're
Yeah.
talking, but I'm like, hey, talk while I work. But it's
Right.
it's not.
different.
I wasn't giving you my attention. Yeah.
Right.
Sorry.
Right.
My apologies.
It's okay. I totally will forgive you. But no, I had just heard a story about a man who, when at his funeral, his son said, no matter how busy my dad was, whenever I walked into the room, and his dad was very busy, a very important person in so many different ways, and when this young man would walk into the room, no matter what his dad was doing, he would stop
Yeah.
and say, what can I do to help you, son? What do
Oh,
you need?
I love that.
And he just talked about how that meant the world to him. And so it just really impacted me when I heard that story. And I thought, how many times do I go and bid for attention? Or how many times does my husband come to me or my kids, or, and
Yeah.
I'm busy doing something? Do I stop and like look at them and actively listen?
Yes.
So that's bidding.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
love
Perfect. I love that.
Okay.
Number 2.
The next one. Choose I statements. Frame your concerns using I feel statements to express your feelings without blaming your partner.
I love that.
So that one, this is how, I don't know if you've noticed this, and also going back to man speak, but men and women don't always communicate the same. Like,
What?
yeah, I know. Like, so
What?
one
Let
thing
me-
I will tell my husband, when I'll say, you hurt my feelings, which then I'm looking at this and I'm like, but that's not me saying, like, I feel, instead of
Right.
saying,
It's
like,
you did this.
You hurt my feelings when you did this, and he will be like, what?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
And then they get defensive even because
but
they're
if
like,
I go to him and say, hey, I feel like this is going on,
yeah,
it just immediately the vibration's different.
yeah.
So I statements.
It doesn't put them on guard.
Yes.
They don't feel like they're being attacked right away. Right. My favorite I statement that I use is, what I'm hearing is.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
And so when they're saying something even if somebody's just like downloading about their day, a lot of times I, as a woman, am in tune to the feelings behind whatever it is that is, and so I'll say something like, so what I'm hearing is you don't feel like a priority in this person's life.
Okay.
And so, or whatever it is, or what I'm hearing is that,
But you're
feeling
your feelings.
overwhelmed
Right.
so that's like active listening stuff. But when it's me and somebody says something, it's like, okay, what I'm hearing from you is I'm not a priority for you right now.
Right.
And so I just, and sometimes that's okay. Sometimes like, it's okay, you're in the middle of stuff, I don't need to be your priority right now, come and find me when you have a minute, kind of a deal. And sometimes it's okay. Sometimes it's like, what I'm hearing right now is that I'm not a priority and I need to be. So can you please help me out with that?
So how do you use that with your characters? So, like, because there are moments when you're like, he is not hearing her.
So that's a lot of where I do inner dialogue for my characters, and it's them interpreting the moment through all their filters, and that's, do you know what I mean? So a lot of it is like their mental, that's inside their heads. They don't say it as much as I say it.
So one character said this, and the other character
heard this. Yes.
So that's that's fun to use.
Yes, I love that one.
Yeah. Okay. So let's move on. Number 3. This kind of goes back with what you were talking about earlier. Choose the right time.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me see. Avoid bringing up sensitive topics when you're stressed or tired.
Oh, you know what? Sometimes
when
you're
emotionally
dealing with
charged,
people, they're always stressed or tired. Sometimes it's not that you can't find a good time. But I really love one of the tools that you and I used, and we just used it today. It was picking a day to do a task or have a conversation. And fortunately we haven't had to have any really big deep conversations. Well, we do have deep conversations, but we don't have relationship conversations. So, but
if we start having those, I don't know if I'm going to be
I know, right? Like, it'll be a thing. Oh, that's so funny.
That's funny.
So, but no, but like picking a time.
Wait. We do have deep conversations.
I said we do have deep ones. We don't have relationship ones.
Cadbury eggs.
Oh my gosh, the Cadbury eggs. Do you know they're out?
I know.
Why do they keep running out? What is the
I
deal?
told you, I went to find them and they were gone.
I know.
It's hard.
I know.
It's a true
so
struggle.
my birthday falls within Cadbury egg time. And so my kids are like, what do you want? And I'm like, do you have to ask?
Cadbury
Like
egg
bags
season.
and
Yes.
bags
Yeah.
and bags.
Yeah.
I know. And I've tried to stock up and it doesn't work.
Okay.
I just
Sorry,
eat them all.
I pulled us way
No,
off
no,
the
no.
topic.
It doesn't work. I just eat them all.
Yeah.
So, okay, but no. So, choosing the right time, like, so planning a time to have a conversation is, I think, not a bad thing.
Right.
So,
and I also have recognized
because you might have it 10 times in your head and resolve it every time you
But
and
that's
then you're
what
good.
I'm saying is like
Yeah.
I might immediately react to a situation, but then when and knowing now is not a good time for me to go talk to this person about this because I am emotionally charged about it.
Right.
But if I can visit it in my head, have a conversation with myself.
So there's a thing about doing it in your head that I've noticed. It usually spirals, and I'm going to say it spirals two ways. One, it goes like up and out and becomes crazy, or it spirals down and becomes not as big of a deal.
Yeah.
So you got to be aware of what you're doing. I think a lot of people I don't want to say feed the crazy, but that was a bad term. But yeah, I think a lot of people do feed the crazy. And but that's a learned behavior.
Yeah.
To do that, to feed that crazy is a learned behavior. And so you can unlearn it.
Yes.
So if you find yourself spiraling, I've had the conversation with my daughter. So if you've had a daughter who's gone through junior high school, you may have had this conversation too about hurricanes and how they build and draw in. And I'm like, so much of the drama is because people in their heads are building something up that doesn't need to be built up.
Yeah.
So we've had are we having this, am I doing that? Am I building something that's not supposed to build or shouldn't build or doesn't need to build? Or am I feeding it with basically air?
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. So
it just made me
spiral.
think about characters. Like I love that though when you have a character that you just love to take things and they just spin them,
yes,
and it just keeps charging and going.
Yes,
it's so fun to use as an
author. Yeah, because it's real, it's relatable. We all do it, right?
Yeah.
So
like I said this and it turned into this. Yes,
in your head.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I have a few real life experiences, but anyway. Okay, so that was number 3. Choose the right time. Number 4, be honest and direct. Okay, my phone. Sorry, guys. Okay. Be honest and direct. Clearly communicate your thoughts and needs without being manipulative. Okay, so I think this is, for me, I think a lot of times I see people actually bury their feelings. They're not honest and they don't communicate them because they don't want to cause conflict. They don't want to have any contention.
Right.
So they bury their feelings instead of being honest and talking about them.
True.
But
very true.
If you're using some of these other things that we talked about, I understand not wanting to have contention, but sometimes when you bury it, it becomes worse.
Well, it festers.
Yes.
I am a
Simmers.
huge believer that when you bury something in your body, it literally stays in your tissues. Like that goes in and becomes, and that a lot of times, so let's say I have, I'll use this one. I had my gallbladder removed, right? They say that having your gallbladder is where you store anger and hatred and things like that. Okay.
Really?
Yeah. And so those negative emotions get stored. It's the place that creates bile in your body, which then destroys things. So that's why they say anger, hate, is stored there because it destroys things. Yeah. So just a little background on me. My parents divorced when I was in the 4th grade. I don't know that I ever dealt with the anger that I had from, I'm sure I did. I'm like, if I talked to my mom, I'm sure she'd be like, you were angry. I knew it. You know, but I'm not sure on a conscious level I ever dealt with that anger. Okay. And so I think as a child, I stored that. And over the years, it just ate away at my tissue. And that emotion that was there caused problems, and it ate away, and I eventually had to have it removed. So, I'm a huge fan of not stuffing emotions. That doesn't mean they have to blow up all over everybody, but working with, managing, and allowing yourself to feel healthy ones. We just had a conversation with a friend of ours who was feeling she wasn't in her feminine space enough. And I was like, oh, honey, you need to allow yourself to watch a girl movie, cry at the end, have all the feelings, because you're trying to be in your masculine space and have all those masculine feelings and stuff the female ones down and not allow them to come up. And that's, let yourself cry. Like, let yourself have that, like, swept away feeling that we girls love so very much, and live in that feeling of being swept away.
Like, feel the feeling.
Feel the feel.
Like, I think so many times, and I've listened to several podcasts on this, we are so frightened, so scared of a negative emotion that we will do anything we can to avoid feeling that negative emotion. And then this same friend taught us that...
Oh, I love her.
Yeah. By identifying the emotion, because at first we'll think it's anger. And you, like, get angry at something or someone, and you're like, oh, I'm so mad. And then you're like, but wait, am I really mad? Like, why am I mad? And you break it down, and you're like, actually, I'm just really scared. And by acknowledging that I'm really scared about something or whatever is going on, it allows me to, like, feel it. I feel it, and then I'm able to process it and move forward.
Yes.
Instead of getting stuck with that emotion. But I think so many times we bury those feelings. We don't talk about it. Yeah. We don't identify them.
And we don't feel it.
And then they create a mess.
Well, and another thing that happens is the next time you start to feel that way, I love how you said you get stuck, because it's, if I can remember the term of it, like arrested development, I think is because it happens when you're younger and there's trauma. But the same idea, I think, is that you get like shot putted back to who you were in that moment that you were feeling that feels. And if you were a 13-year-old girl the first time you felt that and you stuffed it inside of you, every time you come up against that feeling, you are shot back to being a 13-year-old girl. Yeah. And so without having processed that at that age, you're going to ricochet back in time. And then your responses are going to come from a 13-year-old girl. And so you've got to work through that and figure out what that is, and then release it. Release it into the wild. No, just let it. Oh, I can't even sing it. Don't get me started. But yeah, so that's... for me, stuff, so being direct and identifying, but it's so much truth is found, like you said, in being able to find the real emotion of what it is. Is it abandonment? Yeah. Is it feeling alone? Is it fear? Is, you know, because I think anger is a blanket. And I don't know, a secondary emotion. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but depression in men comes out as anger. So they're like, my husband is angry all the time. Well, guess what? He might be depressed because it manifests as anger and you don't know. So, like, there's anger is a shield for a lot of deeper things.
So, like, you know, books, we write it. Like, your character, he's the gruff, you know, and it can be the female, too. Yep. But, like, their anger, their behavior, it's just masking what the real emotion is. And it's fun to use. Like, it's fun to take I love doing that. I love, like, writing a character and giving him all of these things and just qualities that you're like, oh, I don't like him. I don't think I don't like, you know, and then you get to know, oh, but really this is what's going on. So, and the girl sees through and she starts seeing,
understands him. Yes.
So fun to use
and because she helps him address his issues and feel loved, he feels safe and can love her back. So obviously because of where I was for the weekend, but the Beauty and the Beast, because we both have written Beauty and the Beast stories. Didn't you write a Beauty and the Beast one? Or did you do Cinderella?
No, I haven't.
You haven't done a retelling?
Well, no, I haven't ever really done a retelling. I mean, I've taken definitely Universal Fantasy of parts of those. Okay, yeah. And added those.
So the Beast angry all the time. Really, what is the Beast really feeling?
Oh, yeah, right. Grinch. I was like, wait, I did kind of the Grinch.
I'm like, I know you did something like this, but it was Grinch as well. Grinch is angry and hateful, right? What is his underlying feeling? Abandonment,
loneliness,
like a desire to be loved, and accepted for who he is, right? There's so the Beast, I mean, he's lost everything, right? So he's angry, but angry more like people, it was all fake, you know, and again, the abandonment, the disappointment in self.
Yes.
The growth that he has. But really, what he really, really wants is just to be loved.
Right.
Like, that's all he really wants is to be loved. And that's what Belle so easily provides. So, I think that's, like, be honest and direct. But be honest with yourself first. So that you then can be honest with others.
Do the work first within yourself. Like, have your stories, your conversations, your whatever. Yeah. And then you approach your person. Because if you're coming... So we are often talking about vibrations and the feeling, like when someone approaches you and you can feel the anger radiating from them, you're defensive.
Or avoidance. Yes. Defensive avoidance, yes. Totally.
Yeah. So I think that's so important, like getting yourself in the right headspace. Being able to be on, because first, like I love the step of it though, is like choose the right time and then be honest and direct. You have to choose the right time when you're able to communicate. And the I stop statements, stop blaming others when it's your So one of the things that I was talking about with a friend the other day was that everything that happens to us comes through our filters, right? And our filters are our damage. And so if somebody on the street, let's say you're walking on the street and you're like, hey, nice shirt. Okay, and you see that, like, somebody compliments you, and your filters are such that comes across as a compliment because you don't have, you're like, thank you. Somebody else is going to be like, jerk, because it filters through, and to them, somebody saying something nice is a precursor to them taking something. Do you know what I mean? So it's always like this, like maybe they had a bully when they were a kid who would start with a compliment, and the next thing you knew, that bully was tearing them down completely, and you're like, I don't trust that person, when really they just were giving you a compliment. So we filter life through our filters, and so if you can figure out what your filters are, then you're going to be able to be a lot more honest with yourself. Okay, I love it. All right, last one. Oh my gosh, there's a lot. Compromise. Number 5 is compromise. Okay. Be willing to meet your partner halfway and find solutions that work for both of you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's not my way or the highway. Yeah, I know. So I think in a relationship, there's a little bit of both of those. Because there are some things we do my husband's way because I don't care. Yeah. Like, we're going to do it his way. That's fine. We do some things my way because it is important to me. And so we're going to, but I think that in and of itself is a compromise because you're like, okay, this thing is yours. You love it. It's important to you. We'll do it your way. I'm not really that invested, but so I think that in and of itself is a compromise is, okay. So I just had this conversation with my daughter last night. We were talking about dating. And we were just talking about qualities in a person that, when you're looking for a potential future spouse, like qualities that you would want this person to have. And I told her, I said, one thing that I have noticed in relationships around me is that people who compromise in the way that, like, you want a partner who says, oh yeah, I'll go to that chick flick with you, even though I really don't like it, or want to, but I love you, and I'm going to go because you love it. Right. And then you, in turn, are going to go do something that the action flick that you don't care about. But you love that person. And as I have watched over the years, when I see people that have that type of a relationship, it seems like in general their relationship is healthier. Is happier. Is like, they are willing to do things for the other person, and they know that other person is going to do things for them. And so such a great compromise. Like, you want to have a partner who is willing to compromise. Because if you have a partner who is constantly taking and never giving, then you're miserable. So you've got to find somebody who's willing. And it's funny because back in the day when I got married, the idea was you each give 50%. Right. And I found that's not. Then they changed it to each of you give 100% to the relationship, and then from there you can take what you need. And I was like, that's an interesting way to look at it. So I'm seeing this. I think I can't remember who talked about it, but they're saying, like, so your relationship is 100%, and some days that one partner is giving 70%, and the other partner is giving 30%. And then today, or some days you can say, you know what, I just don't have it in me. I need you to pick up the 75 and I'm going to take the 25. Like, your relationship is 100%, and both partners are giving what they can in the moment. Yep. Like when I had influenza A couple weeks ago, like I was in bed, there was nothing. I'm like, I'm not making dinners. There's no. I am at a 2% and I need you at a 98. Like that. And and he steps up and he does all the things, kind of a deal. There's other times when I am at like 80
And he doesn't necessarily need me to be at an 80. I'm just working that good,
Yeah,
kind of a deal. And things are humming and it's going great. And I'm like, yeah, I'm throwing in 80%. He's throwing in 80%. We're 160% right now. We're killing it,
Yes.
And then there's days, like I remember when we first got married, we both got pneumonia and at the same time. And it was like, we need to call somebody to come take care of us because we're both at twos, So, so there's definitely, but like as far as feeding the relationship goes, I think women monitor those levels more. Like we're more aware of them. And so as we are honest in our communication and are like, I need more from you, then that makes a better, like being able to say, and I was talking to somebody the other day who was like, I told my husband, I have been giving 95% in this relationship for 4 months. You're at 5%. I need more from you. And he was like, I didn't even realize.
Right.
He had no idea that she had felt so like, I'm giving, I'm getting nothing. Like he had no clue. But that was one of those open conversations they needed to have. And, it was resolved beautifully. So, but yeah, I think that's one of those like, that's a compromise. I don't, if you're always willing to give your best, it's when one or both partners start being like, I'm not going to give this to you. Right. I'm keeping this for myself. Then, that's when you start to get into issues. Yep.
Yeah, I love compromise. I just think it's really it's that balance in a relationship that allows it to grow and bloom and I have always been, because I don't like to hold things in, obviously, talk way too much. But I know when I have an issue, especially in my marriage, if I go and talk to him and say, hey, I'm feeling like this. Can we talk about it? And the second we talk about it, I'm like, okay, now I feel better. We're fine. Like, it's getting it out there. Because I've learned like holding on to things is really not good for me. Yeah. And so, yeah, I love being able to just communicate how you're feeling.
And if you can't talk to the person that you're in a relationship with, there are people that can help. Like go find a mediator or somebody that can like in between you or help you understand each other's love. A lot of it, and we've talked about love languages, a lot of it is just maybe you don't speak the same love language, and so finding that out can be huge because that can be a game changer. Things like that can help, but look for tools that can help you communicate more and better.
And sometimes journaling, like just journaling out your emotions and then ripping it up and throwing that away. But I've also, since we've been studying like gratitude and the effects of gratitude in your life, I have noticed that sometimes whether it's my spouse, my children, a friend, something, when there's something going on that I just would love to see it go a different way, I will journal, I'm so happy and grateful this person does this.
Or has this.
Or this, is this, whatever. And I see it, like I journal it as though it's the way that I really want it to be, or the way that I want to feel about it.
Yeah.
And sometimes that solves it for me. Yeah. Sometimes when I'm like, you know what, I'm so happy and grateful this person.
Well, because you're expressing what's inside of you too. Like that's huge to be able to just say that out loud, or get it out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Or just actually like take the time to feel really grateful for that person in my life. Like whatever level it is, even if it's not at the level I would love it to be, sometimes just be stopping and being like, I'm so happy and grateful this person does this or is this in my life.
Yes.
And so gratitude.
I
think everything's solved by
superpower. It always comes back to gratitude like it really does. Like we both had, before we even started filming, we had like a 20-minute session of like gratitudes for things because we hadn't seen each other for several days. So we're like, oh my gosh, you're not gonna believe what this. I'm so grateful for this. And it's so much fun to get those downloads and be like, this happened while you were, this happened while you were gone. This happened while I was gone. You would not believe what happened while I was gone. And we just those moments of gratitude are so. And I have to say, like there were moments this last weekend when I was like, just walking around, my family's laughing, we're having a good time, we're all like cracking up, and whatever. And I'm just like, I just looked up to heaven and was like, God, you are so good to me. Like so much gratitude just flooded my soul in that moment. And it happened several times that I'm like, this is for me, this is just like, oh my gosh, this is heaven. Like, and it doesn't have to be at Disneyland. Like, honestly, it could be anywhere, but it's just the fact that my family is all there. They're all getting along and they're like just happy. Like that my whole family is happy and healthy in this very moment. And it's just like my heart just explodes into the universe and is like, oh my gosh, there's so much gratitude right now. I can't even hardly stand it. And like, I have a son that's graduating high school. in a couple months, and we were on the plane back, and I realized this is probably our last family vacation with him before he graduates and all the things. And I just, my heart, again, so much gratitude for him and everything he is in our family. And I like wrapped my arms around him and I was like, oh my gosh, I love you. Thank you for growing up in my house. Like it just so much gratitude. So it always comes back to feeling that gratitude and recognizing. So maybe we should do a 5.1 or something. Express gratitude to your partner. For all the, it doesn't even have to be for something they do, just for existing. Thank you for being my love. Thank you for being the love of my life. Thank you for, and I did on the way home, I was like, listen, I realize everybody in this car made sacrifices so that we could have this trip. Like some of them, like last night, my daughter, she's like, can I borrow your office? I need to homework the heck out of this, kind of a thing. I'm like, yes, go, and spouse at work, things were piling up. He was trying to answer emails in the morning before we'd head over, things like that. And it's like just recognizing that they all made sacrifices, even though it was to do something fun, and even though everybody wanted to, and even though everybody like it was something they all wanted to do, an experience they wanted to have, whatever. Just recognizing, you know what, I know you all made sacrifices for this and I appreciate it. Thank you for that. Like, I have gratitude for that. And I did too, but it wasn't like I was like, hey, I made sacrifices so we could be here. No, it was about them and the gratitude for what they had done, because those moments that I had were made possible by their sacrifices. And so,
I'm a big believer in sticky note goes a long ways.
Yes.
Like I love to leave sticky notes in places and be like, hey, thanks for this today, or thank you for doing this. Thanks for going to work today. Thanks for, just a little sticky note on the steering wheel.
See, and I'm a verbal person, so like words of affirmation, so I'm always the one that says it. So,
but if you ever, like, I have found little notes here and there, like from my husband, even my kids have stuck little things. Like I have one that when my son, they were expecting their first baby, and he, in my office, had stuck it on my little board, and it's like, hey, can't wait to make you a grandma. You're going to be the best. Like, just little things like that. So sticky notes, they go a long way. Sticky notes go a long way.
I love it. I love it.
Okay.
So that was our top 5 key points or tips for better communication, plus a bonus 0 and a 5.5, and because we can't stop with the goodness. But so we're so grateful that you joined us today and that we had this chance to talk about better communication in a relationship. And I know there are some things I will be working on over the next couple of weeks.
You use the I statement.
I will be working.
I will do this. Yes.
Look at me grow and change. So join us next week. We'll have another fantastic episode for you, and hit the like, subscribe buttons, help this channel in all the ways so other people can find it. You guys, it is working. We are growing.
We are growing.
I am so it's so fun to watch those graphs that they give you go and go in the upward direction. It's a great time.
We love our readers.
I love the fact that you're here and that you are interested in better communication in your relationship and all the things that have to do with love. And so we are done. We're grateful to have you. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next week. I guess we don't have to worry about video. I guess it just help us. I know. I'm like, wow.
Well, so my phone in the middle, I was like, what is going on?
Why doesn't it recognize your face?
It was like stupid spam calls.
Oh.